we can't not change. We can't stand still. We have to start thinking about not just, our next contract cycle. We need to start thinking 2, 3, 5 years out and how AI is absolutely going to change our business.
AI is here, and it's not the answer to the asset problem, but it's a means to the end of an asset problem.
The question that I can't answer, where does it make sense for me to apply AI into my business?
The time is now. There's no longer an excuse to not understand what's in your facility.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here for the very first episode of the State of FM. I'm Kim Goei. I'm the president of Fexa, and I'm delighted to be joined by my colleagues, Beth Mooney and Shannon Anderson. Beth, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your journey with Fexa and a little bit about your background for a minute before we dive in.
Yeah, sure. I am so excited to have this conversation today. I have been in the FM industry now for 20 years, and it hit me at the show this past week that that's a long time. And folks that I've hired have babies now who are teenagers. So um, I have grown up in the FM world and have been with Fexa for going on 7 years now. I've kind of done a little bit of everything and now handle product and customer marketing.
Amazing. I love it. It is weird to hear you say 20 years, because to me, you're one of those babies who has grown up, who has grown up so amazingly at Fexa. And I've watched you grow up and you've watched, it's just, okay. So if you're feeling old, I'm feeling really old. Shannon, I'd love for you to introduce yourself as well and tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, Shannon Anderson with Fexa. I've been in the operations world for 15 years and in the facilities world for just shy of 4. And I feel like there's got to be something like dog years, but for facilities. Like time moves in a really weird way in this space, and I don't know if it's just like operating in chaos. I can't figure out if it slows time down or speeds it up. I think it speeds it up, but I'm so excited to be here.
First of all, that is one immediate takeaway. We will hereby refer to our years in the industry as, well, in facilities years, it's 50 years, but in real years, it's 7. So I love the dog years analogy because I think everybody who's in this industry would agree. Well, so one of the ideas that we had, which I'm so excited about, is to have our first State of FM episode really related around Connex. And I would love to start with just a little bit of background on what Connex FM means to me and just sort of my journey personally and professionally with Connex FM, just to sort of tee up the table. And I'd love for both of you to be prepared to do the same as well. First of all, I can confidently say that Fexa would not be Fexa without Connex FM. And I would say previously Prism, for those of us OGs around know it as Prism. Still, I hear Prism sometimes when I talk to people about Connex.
People were saying it. People were referencing Prism. There's this pride in having been around for the Prism days.
Well, and the Prism days are such important days because it really does show how gritty the group of facilities folks that got together, and like just sort of how gritty and passionate and resilient. And still to this day, those individuals who launched Prism, you all know who you are, right? Like Steve Waxman, Ron Rout, like all these amazing, Anne Moran, all these amazing leaders in the industry who really got together and made sure that there was an avenue for facilities folks to learn and grow and evolve. And now here we are at Connex FM. But I love that there's still an homage to that legacy. And I get a little warm and fuzzy feeling even when I say Prism. It's also pre-COVID, right? Because the Connex FM brand was launched literally in 2019 and then COVID hit, right? So it's almost like a double-edged sword where it's the good old days and also it was pre-COVID, which we just use as a milestone marker anyways in life.
How big was like the first couple Prism annual meetings?
I can speak to what I know, but definitely the people who were there would clearly know better. It started with a smaller group of people and then started gaining traction. I've been attending Prism slash Connex, I think since 2014, if that sounds right. So about 12 years. I've been to every national conference. In my view, it's always been a trade show supported by social events, right?
Yep.
And usually they're in a place that's fun to go to. So I remember one of the early ones would be Long Beach. And Beth, I don't know, were you at the Long Beach Connex?
Where we got to go on the Queen Mary.
We went on the Queen Mary, and it was very intimate, felt very intimate, but still a trade show, still a lot of the businessy parts. But to answer your question, Shannon, it's definitely gotten bigger. I'd say, fast forwarding through our journey with Connex, we were exhibiting as Facilities Exchange in I'm going to say we, because really I was around like maybe 2016, 2017 when I first met Mark. And I was introduced to the industry really via Connex and via the trade show floor of Facilities Exchange. And then that is really where we established our relationships, where we were shaking hands, where we were learning new things. And that's where I got my really honest education of what the opportunity is in this industry. And I literally, kid you not, coming from an operations background like you, Shannon, I totally fell in love with the facilities manager, like this idea of the facilities manager, but literally facilities managers. And somebody said to me, even yesterday, I got a text that said, I just love our work family. And this is not somebody who is in Fexa. This is somebody who's in the industry. Falling in love with the facilities manager really prompted us to therefore obviously get on the path that we're on, be really bold and just sort of, I think the purpose and the establishment of our values being human first is really what's behind that is literally we are humans. We are doing human business, and we're a software company. We are very innovative with technology, but nothing happens without the human component. And I really think that idea and that belief system was born at Connex. And then fast forward to today, after serving on the board for 4 years and having, I would say, a lot of my professional but also personal relationships really coming from Connex. Everybody knows I wasn't there this year. I felt like it was an easy decision to make, but one of the weightiest ones when it comes to literal FOMO, fear of missing out, fear of like not only fear of missing out, but sadness that I won't see my friends, I won't see my work family. And so I'm so excited to hear from you all today, obviously having evolved. I'd love to hear from you all today, your experience at the show. I want to know what people are talking about. I want to know what people were asking you. I want to know all the things. And full disclosure, this is the first conversation I've had with anybody about Connex in this manner.
I was
Outside
gonna say, this is
yeah,
like our first genuine debrief. We have
Hmm.
not debriefed on it. We'll keep some of the conversation till we're in the same
yes,
room having cocktails, but this is the first down low we're giving the Kim Goei on some of this. So
that's
uh,
right. Can I reserve the cocktail talk though for post recording? Because I still want all the goods. I
yes,
want those goods too.
yes.
Cheers.
I know, totally. But thank you, ladies, for being sort of my bridge into what happened and being my eyes and ears and sharing with me. I really, really am excited to hear what you have to say. So let's start with perceptions. Beth, I'm going to start with you. You've been going to the show for a long time and you're a veteran of the industry, but also a veteran of this show. Tell me your initial takeaways and like what are some aha moments you might have had?
I think the biggest thing is just every year I get goosebumps going to this because the industry just shows up. And I think they mentioned this was the most attended Connects in history, and you felt it. Like I mentioned before, seeing old former colleagues, and you mentioned that friends and work family. It is what it is. Whether it was people volunteering for the foundation or just hanging out in an elevator, high-fiving, hugs, like it's genuine. So that energy always sticks out to me and always leaves me super energized. But to see the difference between last year and this year, wow, big difference. Shannon, we were talking about that just even from an energy perspective, right? Like what a difference it was from the year prior.
Plus one, Beth. I kept thinking throughout, this feels different than last year. And it might have been prompted by the fact that, I mean, shout out truly to the board members, the active board members for Connex. They were walking around, I mean, Nick, in the middle of Quick Connects. How's this going for you? Like, give me your feedback. They were all doing that the entire time. So from the very beginning, it was really getting my wheels turning on some of this, and it really felt different, Kim. I think a lot of it, yes, I think they really took a lot of feedback from last year and nailed the format. But I think the operators are in a different spot this year
Mm,
mentally. And when they, like, what was most different, I think, is the environment outside of Connects. They
mm,
are all under an immense amount of pressure from their own executive teams and their
mm,
own board members and their own investors. So I think a lot of the energy shift from last year to this year came from the fact that there are people who are there really asking questions and really challenging, because they are being asked to, challenging how they're operating and what partnerships or relationships they can lean in on to help get them to the what used to be sort of a nice to have level, which is now a need to have level. I mean, we were seeing execs there that have not been there in the past. We are seeing people who have taken a little bit more of a passive, this is great to just see my work family really there having some pretty hard-hitting conversations, which we loved. Like,
Yeah.
mhm,
the booth was going. It was great. It was really a really stimulating conversation the entire time.
I love the word stimulating, and I think that your comparison between last year and this year and really connecting it with what's happening outside of a trade show environment. I've noticed the trends in any in-person scenario outside, like I will say I'm in the field. I'm on planes, and this is the longest I've sat still for a really long time, and this is going to be really good for me, and I'm grateful for it. However, I will say the in-person dynamic has shifted. And Shannon, I'd love to dig into your thoughts as to why. So
mm.
you mentioned higher level, maybe more pressures, more discussion. Like, what does that actually mean? Give me some specifics on what you were hearing.
We've got to talk about AI. Like, we've got to
Yeah,
talk about it. It's
Mhm.
yes,
it was on 50% of the trade show boards. Like, I don't
yeah.
Education sessions and
Is it
discussions in
really?
the hall. Yeah.
So,
Oh,
so you mean that every like exhibitors
everybody, like, a plumbing company had AI. No, they didn't actually. And, like, shout out to all plumbing companies if they actually
AI can unclog a
yeah,
toilet?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Send photos of your, clogged toilet. That's disgusting. That's disgusting, but
I-
no, everybody did, and I think I loved the timing of the 2 national conferences because, okay,
Mm,
Kim, you remember last year when they had the executive roundtable,
Yeah, it
and the
was
whole
great.
thing
Yeah.
around it was AI,
Hmm.
and do
Yeah.
you remember the percentage of people they did that the great, oh, what's the
a
participation
Mentimeter or a
exactly,
poll or
Mentimeter that was like, what percentage of you are personally using AI? What percentage of you? And like 15%, 20% of these executives were like, I haven't used it. I have like, no. And a couple of people were, I would say, AI curious.
Yeah.
Um, and I
mm,
mean, it was really minimal. Fast forward to this year. Over this past year, those same people have gotten past the trap of AI, all AI is good. And they have been pushed by their own IT teams, executive teams, operator teams to say, like, not all AI is good. And we should talk about that actually. In like in this conversation, because I think Beth and I both had really interesting insights from people on that. But they have now fast forwarded to this, like, we need uh, we are skeptical of somebody just saying they have AI, and they were coming to us with really intelligent questions around it. And I think a lot of it is coming from the fact that if they're a publicly traded company or in a like a close competition group, all of their investors are looking at what their competitors are doing. I had a conversation that focused on, hey, our competitor is finding OpEx efficiencies, leveraging AI in their business. our business is set up differently, but they're direct competitors. I mean, talk about FOMO. It's like our investors are getting FOMO. We cannot just run that same play. We need to find somewhere in our EBITDA where we can apply AI in a way that gets more out of our R&M spend, that gets more leverage out of our current OpEx spend, or brings down our OpEx spend. That is not a ticketing conversation.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is a that is like top down, find a way. So they are looking for partners who are not going to oversell them and
Yep.
tell them, "Oh, we have AI." Like, great, everyone has AI. If you don't, if yeah, I mean, if you don't,
It-
if you don't have it, like, you should not be like, "Ta-da, we have AI." That is not the goal anymore, and I think people get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beth, I'd love to hear your thoughts too, because here was my initial reaction with what Shannon was saying, and I'm curious your perspective on this. It's almost like it only took 1 year, but we've gone from, yeah, AI's coming to holy crap, AI is not only here, but I'm being challenged with what to do with it. And it sounded to me like, Shannon, you were saying it's at every level. So you
Yeah.
mentioned the executive roundtable. That was clearly a specific group of people that are leading teams and have a responsibility to maybe the board of directors, or maybe they're reporting up to the C-suite, or they are the C-suite. But sounds like it's across all roles. And Beth, I'm curious your thoughts in response to sort of what I was hearing, and maybe double downing or double clicking into what that means for the state of FM.
Yeah, no, Shannon was spot on. The line of questioning is so different. Where a year ago, I felt like I was in the ocean with binoculars looking back to the beach, like, come on, the water's warm,
Yes.
join us, you know?
That's a good analogy.
Right?
But
Everyone was kind
also
of
people
like,
don't know how to swim, so, like, you wanna be like, but be careful. But
that's
Yeah.
it.
but be
That's
careful."
it. Dip your
Yes,
toe in the water. We're here
yes.
to have a good time. And now, people are jumping in. And the
Mhm.
interesting thing was people coming to the booth or pulling us aside to say, you know, talk about our proof points, right? Like, your AI is actually delivering real results.
Mm.
Show me what it looks like. Talk through this with me. It was such a difference in people really understanding that, AI is like cloud, right? It's in the cloud. It's gonna save us. People are really now understanding that there are different versions and different ways that AI can solve problems. And I heard everything from, is it going to be fully autonomous to, is there going to be a human in the loop? And what does that look like? So the dialogue and the questioning was really refreshing and has moved so fast in a year.
I'm
I'm
curious, Beth,
and
what
from
was
our
your
AI conference in New York. Well, Kim and I were back in New York for ICSC, like, 5 weeks later, so it all blurs together for me, but yes.
in my mind, I'm always in New York, so I don't know when I was in.
That's true.
I mean, just kidding a little, sort of, as
As you
I'm
drink your coffee.
drinking my New York.
That's right, yeah.
In
Kim,
my mind,
daytime president of Fexa,
was
nighttime city spokesperson for
uh,
your city.
yes. Actually, can we plug this and send it to New York? Like, I'm an unpaid proponent
Yes.
of your economy.
Yeah, that's great.
Beth, I'm curious if you can click into a little bit more the feeling. So the actual reaction, because I remember there being some eye rolls and literally even in our most recent event, there was a real fear still. And the questions that are coming, where's that coming? Is it coming from fear? Is it coming from excitement? Is it coming from a genuine like appetite to learn? Like, what is that feeling? Where is it coming from these facilities managers?
Yeah. I love an analogy. So I kind of think of it like, the giant spider is AI and it's my pet. So I love it and it's cute, but nobody wants to touch it because it's a spider.
I
So
I hate this analogy. I hate it. I'm my skin
Okay.
is crawling, I wanna get
your
out.
skin is crawling,
I
but
am in a
that
basement. You cannot talk to me about spiders.
But the point of that is the visceral reaction people have to AI, because it's going to take my job. What is it going to do to the world? What is it doing to the environment? All of these real questions. It's this visceral fear, and it's the fear of the unknown, where ultimately ultimately, I think people are now understanding that, you know, it, it's not gonna come for me in a way that I won't see it coming. So maybe again, dip my toe in the water, let me get involved, let me get a little bit more um, familiar with it, but also the top down, right? Like every single company is hiring a head of AI, a department of AI. Every company out there is saying we need to embrace it. And what's funny in this industry, especially for years, it's the old, if it's not broke, I'm not going to fix it, right? I don't need to make a change. I think to your earlier point, right? I'm going to go to the show, I'm going to see people, I'm going to network, maybe find a new plumber. This was so different because people are realizing we can't not change. We can't stand still. We have to start thinking about not just, our next contract cycle. We need to start thinking 2, 3, 5 years out and how AI is absolutely going to change our business. So it's kind of like there's a fear, but I think people are embracing it because they have to, and also maybe just a genuine curiosity of like, ChatGPT is pretty cool. How much further can I get? Or what else could I do? Or what other tool could I work on?
Yeah, I think if there's any group of people who are well poised to adjust and adapt to something that's moving really quickly and is very unpredictable, I think it's facilities managers. I mean, so
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. But Shannon, I'm curious your thoughts on this question because I was thinking about this as Beth was talking. Sounds like there's a lot of questionings happening about AI, but what's the question people are asking that there's literally no answer to? Like nobody can answer this question.
I'm going to answer it in two parts, and not like an emotional question, but
Mm,
it's tough. I would say the most direct answer to your question is, what do I need AI to do for me in a year from now? Because like we have conversations where somebody makes a big decision to move over this sort of core platform, CMMS being part of it, once every 5 years.
yeah.
So I mean, it's a big undertaking. So they need to know it's going to age well with them. So
Mm,
as they're trying to like come up with the number of people who are going to bid right now for all of their legacy technology, that was
mhm,
like really at one point I was having a conversation with multiple operators at the same time because it's so many people were engaging in that way.
mhm,
They were trying to sort of put together an RFP questionnaire in a traditional sense,
mm,
meaning what functions can it do?
Mm,
And the reality is like, I don't know. You don't know. Mark
mm,
Balsamo doesn't know. Nobody knows what we're going to ask AI to do in 2 years from now. So the
mm,
questioning then becomes, what questions do you need to ask? What do you need to look for to gauge if they're selling good AI or Power BI with sort of like an interesting summary layer on top? Like
mm,
that really is the question. So it's a total mindset shift. I mean, I would say this group is on the far end of the spectrum of incorporating AI into our day to day. We
yeah.
remember when we first started using it, the number of times we had to retrain our brain during a day. I'm not kidding. Like
mm,
5 times during a day. Like, wait, no. I should be using AI for this. Like, you have to train it differently. I think it's that line of questioning. We just can't answer that.
Mm,
That is like
mm,
that's a really sort of tough thing. The question that I can't answer, that we can't answer, that really only an operator as sort of a committee can answer is, where does it make sense for me to apply AI into my business? Where are we
yeah.
ready to apply AI? And actually, Beth, I want to open this question up to you because I think you were having a couple of conversations around this idea of like data readiness for AI. Like
Mm,
what do you need in order to apply AI in a way that will drive the business outcomes that you need? I
yeah.
it's such a it's Kim, it's a really good question. And it's yeah, I could do a TED talk on this. I could go
Great.
for a long time just on that question.
Tune in to the next State of FM
I
episode
know.
where Shannon
Yes.
Anderson will be on stage.
Walking back and forth in my house by myself. Penny, my 3-year-old, holding the camera. Just crunching Cheerios in the background. Sorry,
Okay,
Beth.
I'm just telling you right now, Penny would 100% command an audience, and I'm pretty sure
I know.
she alone she alone with the amazing talent she's inherited from her parents, I'm sure she could be promoted as a TED Talk, and I'm sure she could kill it. Like,
Yeah,
mic
her
drop all
little
the way
sister
up.
Ellie is her bodyguard. I think I was talking with who was I talking with about Penny? I think it was Shannon Epley from Velocity Services. And
Yeah,
she and I both, have girls, and but they're at different life stages. And my youngest Ellie would be the bodyguard to
yeah.
Penny, just walking around breaking things and yelling at
Um,
people. And then Ellie would just sort of be her 1-year-old sister is like as big as she is. It's great. I
yeah.
digress. Beth.
Fexa marketing taking okay, Beth. Back to your response on, Shannon's question.
We were talking about data, and I think it's such an interesting point, right? Like even with benchmarking data and all the data, that there's so much data, but when the data is not doing anything more than living on a dashboard or living in a summary or something along those lines, it's not really helping you in the process, right? So I think a lot of the conversations we had was like, again, where do I start? How do I get ready? Maybe one in particular was really, really focused on assets, right? Like if this can really help me build out my CapEx plan for the next couple years. Where do I start today so that I can really get ahead of the game? And I think, again, it's like that line of questioning of let me understand everything that's in my facility so that now I have it at my fingertips and it's not just a report. People are understanding now how fast this can move and that you can have all the data in the world, but if it's not really pushing things to you and helping you in a prescriptive way and helping you, again, like make those decisions, then it's just data on a piece of paper or data in a system, right?
I'm curious your thoughts, Beth, because you are a facilities manager. You have, been responsible for managing multiple portfolios of facilities at any given time.
Yeah,
We've talked about assets, and it's like the age old, literally, I've joked around that it's like Groundhog Day.
every year.
Every year, right? Every year assets. But literally AI is here, and
Yep.
it's not the answer to the asset problem, but it's a means to
Mm,
the end of an asset problem. Had you heard of people leveraging AI to solve this age-old asset problem, and or what would you say to people about AI solving their age-old asset problem? And just be bold and direct, Beth. I think our
yeah,
audience would really love to hear it.
I think it's like the time is now. There's no longer an excuse to not understand what's in your facility. Um, you have the means at your disposal to automatically collect the data, understand it, look at trends, have that level of like understanding right in front of you. So I think again that there was a level for a time of if it's not broke, I'm not going to fix it. No one's asking me about it. I'll deal with it then because I'm dealing with so many other fires, literally. Now you have that freedom to really, you have to chase it. You have to go get it. And I think the other cool thing about like what I'm seeing, maybe it's because we're getting older, but it's the facilities managers having that seat at the table and knowing that I have to get that data for myself. I really have to be the one to bring this to my procurement team, to my CFO to say, listen, we've got to make a change, whether it's a lease in one building or our entire CapEx planning. Maybe it's working with a vendor. Like people really embracing this role in a much different way to have that seat at the table, to have bigger discussions and really make an impact. And assets are where it starts. We can't not know anymore. Ship has sailed.
100%. And I love the fact that you brought up a seat at the table. And I used to say, and by the way, I said it up until recently. I used to say, God bless COVID, because facilities management not only had a seat at the table, and not only were they invited, they were forced at the table. And they had to report on opened store, closed stores, cleanings that are happening, safety precautions, all these things. And the C-suite was listening. Not only were
Yeah.
they listening, they were depending on what the facilities department was sharing with them to report out literally to their shareholders, literally to this, like also, it was the most incredible silver lining moment for our industry. If there's one silver lining of COVID-19 facilities management, it's they were forced to the table. But what's happened since then? And now we're at a point where they have another opportunity to
That's it.
be at the table and really present themselves, not only present themselves, but prove, maybe not even prove. What's the right word? Belonging.
Mhm.
Belonging
Yeah.
at the table. And that is what AI can give these teams.